Savage. I'm the town moderator. Let's get started with the Pledge of Allegiance, if you will. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd also now like, as a matter of tradition, to ask for an invocation.
Heavenly Father, God, we come before you in the name of Jesus, Lord. We're thankful for this day. We're thankful for all that you do for us. We ask, God, that you bless this meeting this morning, that we have the way here, and keep praying here. In Jesus' mighty name, amen.
Thank you. All right. We often start with reading off the results of the ballot election. Would you like to do that? Does everybody already know through Facebook or something? You want me to read off the results? Yes? Okay. I want to thank Kelly Tivnan, Joni Van Gelder, and Ken Gary for filling in for me on Tuesday. I had to be out of town, and by all measures, I think they did a great job, so thanks very much for doing that. So on the town ballot, there was an election for one seat for a 3-year term on the Board of Selectmen, and that was won by Scott Ferguson with 86 votes. Bonnie Gagnon had 64, and there were 6 different write-in votes. On the Budget Committee, there were 2 seats for a 3-year term, and the leading vote getter was Patty Sindorf with 37 votes, and then Bonnie Gagnon with 6, and Andrea Bowden with 3 as a write-in. Let's see. Do you favor adoption of the town manager plan as provided in Chapter 37? That was defeated by a vote of 94 to 52. Town moderator, thank you very much. People wrote in my name with 52 votes. It's a pleasure and a privilege to serve the town. Supervisor of the checklist. There were nobody had signed up for that office. Bonnie Gagnon won with 5 write-in ballots. Trustee of the trust funds, again, there was no one running. There were 3 tied for a write-in ballot, and the way you do it, if it's tied, believe it or not, is all the tied names get put in a hat, and you draw one, and whoever that one is the winner, and that was Christine Maynard. Then we used to go to whoever was next on the list, but that's not correct, actually. It then goes to the proper appointing procedure if the drawn winner doesn't accept the office. Do you favor reducing the Board of Selectmen from 5 to 3 as per Chapter 41? That did not pass by a vote of 93 to 62. Then there were a number of planning board ordinance changes, zoning ordinance changes. Number 1, I won't go through the whole thing, but number 1 was passed 122 to 38. Amendment number 2 also passed 103 to 57. And amendment number 3 also passed 96 to 63. And then on the school side, Article 1 to choose the following school district officers, 2 school board members for 3-year terms. Rebecca Eastman Darrow had 128 votes, and Nicole Huntress had 42 votes as a write-in, and so they got those 2 terms. School district moderator, Jack Savage got 23, and Tom Gardner got 7. I've already informed the school board clerk that I'm not able to take that position, so I think it's up to the school board to then appoint a moderator for the school session. The treasurer, let's see here. It looks like there were only write-ins. There were many write-ins. The leading write-in was Linda Adamo. I don't know the outcome of the status of that. Article 2, which was the main budget, it looks like it did not pass, 88 to 72, which means it goes on to the default budget. Article 3, to raise and appropriate $75,000 for construction repair fund, passed 126 to 37. Article 4, to raise and appropriate $15,000 for the bus capital reserve fund, passed 131 to 33. And Article 5, to raise and appropriate $7,000 for the special education trust fund, passed 122 to 39. That's all of that. Where'd my agenda go here? There we go. I understand, John, you had something that you wanted to present to the town.
Please. I'll look at the microphone. Good morning. Good morning. This is John and Janet Hodges, who live down on Route 153, the section commonly referred to as Middleton Hill. Long before the American Revolution, this section of New Hampshire was being settled. It wasn't until 18 years later, in 1778, when Middleton was incorporated as a town. But there were a lot of steep hills in Middleton. That was resolved in 1794, when the town was split in two, us and the formation of Brookwood. 1795, town hall was built. But town officials, including the town clerk, continued to work out of their homes. Sadly, those early records were lost. Early town clerk records lost. They've been lost for 200 years. During the renovation of our house down on Middleton Hill, those records have been found.
Wow.
Right? The book that we have, we're going to present at the moment, covers from 1795 to 1824. It is with pleasure that Jan and I present to Madam Select Chair of the Board and Mr. Moderator these long lost records that belong to Middleton. Please keep them for safekeeping.
Wow.
That is so cool.
You guys want to look this way? Jack's drooling. All set? Okay.
That is very cool. Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. That is terrific. Yeah. That's great. Yeah, that's amazing.
We're not going to find John Botch's name in that book.
That's the last recording. 24.
Yeah, I can't wait to take a peek and see some of those things. We were looking for that information during the renovation of the town hall and hoping we might find in order to put some of the history. Found some good information from the little later records that were there, but there's probably some interesting things in that one too.
Jack,
Yes?
can we just ask that maybe people can share their books if we ran out of books?
Oh, we did? Okay.
As couples, maybe they could.
So we've run out of town books. Are there more down at the municipal building that we can go get, or?
There's like 5 more down there. I mean, yeah.
Or can we run copies of the pages that have the warrant on it? We could do that.
Is the custodian here for that, somewhere in the building?
I saw him this morning.
You got 4 more up here, anybody need them?
We could at least print out and copy the warrant.
Right, yeah. Maybe we can work on that, if you don't mind, Ken. While we're doing that, how many have never been to a town meeting? Everybody, okay, so you know the rules, and we'll follow that. We have a special little thing we've got to do today. Unfortunately, Teresa Jones, our town clerk, is sick and can't be here, and the proper procedure for selecting a town clerk pro tempore is for you all to elect one for today's session. So I would entertain a motion, a nomination. Perhaps someone would like to nominate? I hear a nomination for Kathleen to serve as town clerk pro tempore. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All right. Any other nominations from the floor? All those in favor of electing Kathleen Blaney, Town Clerk pro tempore, signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? You're elected. Where are you? There you are.
Yay, Kathleen.
Yeah. Really quick. You solemnly swear to uphold the duties and responsibilities of Town Clerk for the Town Clerk meeting today? You're in. All right. Let's see. Can we start real quick? I think we all kind of know each other, but let's just go down the table and introduce ourselves so everybody knows what everyone's role is. Want to start down here?
Sure. My name's Tim Kerman. I am one of the select board members.
I'm Michael Green, I'm also one of the select board members.
Roxanne Tuskegee, selectman. Kathleen Blaney.
Town Clerk, pro tempore.
Jonathan Smith, police sergeant.
Michael Lavalette, fire chief.
Dan Phillips, road agent.
Okay, great. Now, let's get on to the consideration of the articles on the warrant. Typically, we start with the budget article. I hear there might be a motion.
Yeah, Jack, I'm gonna make the motion to move have Article 20 moved up.
So Article 20, if you look, is the article regarding adopting SB2, which must be done by ballot vote here at today's meeting. We have the ballot box and we have little yes or no ballots for that. The ballot box needs to stay open for at least 1 hour, so I think that's the purpose of her motion. Do I hear a second to the motion to bring Article 20 up for consideration at this time? I have a second back there. Can you have a name for the second? Any discussion of the motion to move Article 20? All those in favor of moving Article 20 to be considered at this time signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, we're going to move to Article 20. Article 20, shall we adopt the provisions of RSA 4013, known as SB2, to allow official ballot voting on all issues before the town of Middleton on the second Tuesday of March? 3/5 majority ballot vote required. Do I hear a motion to approve the article as read? And we have a name? Joe Bailey, okay, thanks. Okay, is there a second?
I'll second, Casey Maynard.
All right, I don't know who, this was was this a petitioned article?
Yeah,
No, okay, does someone want to speak to it?
we as the select board brought it forward to put on here, and had been not fully discussed as far as, but given the option to the taxpayers to say that's what we wanted to do, go SB2. We do that in the school. It was just a thought that if we were SB2 for the town, maybe the potential is that you would have both deliveries on the same day and everything would be running in line with one another. Totally up to the taxpayers, legislative body to decide what they want to do, whether stay traditional or go SB2.
Okay, comments or questions? Yes?
John Quinn, I am against SB2. We had more people at the town meeting than the delivery session at school. So about 20 people attended that meeting. 160 people voted, the budget got voted down. Most of the people did not hear from the school board and the budget committee. All their fine work trying to get the budget in line and invest in the district and town. SB2, we meet in February, we talk about it, listen about it. A month later, you vote on it. A lot happens in a month. Most people are not paying attention. I'm one of them. I'm like, we got work, we got kids, we got all this stuff. Then we got to vote. And then when you see a ballot, who are these people? What are we voting on? And I'm on boards and I try to pay attention. But town meeting is a historic process. I can get out and have my say. I might be the only person in the room who agrees with me, and that's fine. But that's democracy in action. what we want. I've seen 3 people at a deliberative session. For a $6 million budget, 3 full people that are not on the board. Is that representation of the town? In that case, it wasn't. Now, everyone can't make it. It's Saturday, and it work, people, things. You couldn't make it all on Tuesday or Wednesday as well. There's not going to be a time where we all can get together as a town. You can't. It's too big of a town, we're too busy. But with all the digital and analog processes, we can come together. I noticed the sign at the old town hall wasn't even lit. People don't even know that this is happening. You got a recreation party, the sign's up. Santa Claus showing up, everyone knows. Town meeting where we're discussing the budget. What are we trying to instill? What knowledge are we trying to change? What attitude and behavior are we trying to change? More informed people is what we want on the polls, rather than just random guesses. So Jack Savage doesn't get voted in again. We know that he doesn't want to be the school moderator. Despite our best efforts to put him back in. So that's it. I'll listen now. Thank you.
Yes.
I too am in opposition of this particular warrant article. This is a democratic process. This is a chance for you to get to speak your mind. Case in point, I think is very, very demonstrative with, we did the paper vote on Tuesday, and everybody, the majority of people said that they did not want to discuss the town manager's position. Now, whether I'm in favor of the town manager or not doesn't really matter. What matters is that article now is not even up for discussion today. Which means that if you did have something positive to say about it, you've been silenced. And I think you've been silenced because nobody had a chance to discuss it or realize that that wasn't an article to select or hire the town manager. It was an article to discuss whether or not it was a good idea. This is where your ideas are spoken for people to hear. Too many people do not get involved, and I understand. By the way, Jack, question, what is the law? What does the law say about working on an election day, on a transfer vote?
I guess I'm not sure I understand the question.
Isn't there a law that says that if you are supposed to work on election day and you need time off to vote, you have to be by law given that time?
I don't think that's the law, actually, no.
The point is, you have a chance to say something here. The paper ballot, the paper product, it's the short way, it's the easy way out. Too much of our life is already a cop-out. We've seen that in the newspaper headlines every single day. Let's not give this up. This is our chance to be a democracy.
Thank you. Yes, Christine.
I'll say as somebody who is for SC2, having a he's an IC nurse working night shift, he 9 out of 10 times doesn't have the opportunity to come. For somebody who works nights and is working in a hospital, he can't just say, I want the night off. So if they're working the weekend, we have to take off the entire weekend. With nurses already being short staffed, he can't do that. If he were to come right now, he's already running late coming home to sleep for a few hours and then go back to work. The people who are homebound and physically cannot make it here because of handicaps, at least they have an opportunity to do an absentee ballot. You can go to deliberative session if you really want to voice your opinion. But there's also other ways to get information out about stuff. I mean, even today with the town meeting, you can say that people are getting informed, but at the end of the day, most people have already made up their mind of what they want or don't want. So I think spending 4 hours on a Saturday is not showing true democracy. Giving the ability for every resident in this town to vote by ballot gives them the opportunity for true democracy, because you have 12 hours to be able to put your voice in.
Other comments or questions? Yes.
the article. And I know there's good reasons for voting for it. And I know Jack always tells us we're the legislative body, and as John Quinn said about being educated, if we were to go sit in the gallery of the New Hampshire legislature, the general court, you'd see speaking on a bill on the day that they vote. You know, same would be true with the committee usually. Sometimes it would be postponed from that, but a lot of times there's last speeches that are given in support or against a particular bill, and then the people vote. It's difficult work, and I mean, most people do it $100 a year and sit for hours and hours and hours. And maybe I'm an old stodgy New Englander, but I like the process. I like the history of it. I like the immediacy of being able to be here, not just deliberate and go home for weeks and then vote. And a lot of people who aren't informed as much as they could be end up voting. I prefer the people who really want to be engaged being involved in the process on the day.
Thank you. Other comments or questions? Ken, we're talking about Article 20 still. Other comments or questions regarding Article 20? Yes, Ben?
Mr. Monson was back for the groups, but back at the time, the criminal time. It's one of the freedoms that we have here in Middleton. We don't have one of business in California. We don't have one of business in New York. But we have it here. We have a chance to face, our community members, and share ideas. It's an exchange back and forth, and get more information. Not something that you're going to do when you see yes or no on the ballot, or you're in favor yes or no. And this is an educational process that I don't want to give up. And when I get together, in spite of the that going on, I'm going to be there to be here, to be a part of that, hear what my community members have to say, and to make an informed decision. Something that I just don't get when I get a face ballot. Something that's so bad over 300 years.
Thank you. Yes?
Just one last item is that talking about getting information about what to vote on and how to vote. We've lost an awful lot of our communicative abilities. We're reduced right now, in many cases, Facebook, social media. It really pains me when I see people asking questions on social media. They should be directed to the authorities or to the proper facilities. I want to know, where do I talk to somebody about such and such? You ask one question, you'll get 4 answers, and if you're lucky, one of them is correct. We don't have newspapers to speak of anymore. No one listens to the radio much anymore except for the music, with that, and then it's usually something streamed, something that they've chosen because they don't want to listen to the rest of it. As far as the television news, most people pick one channel and stick with that. They don't hear the other side of the coin. And at that point, you're mostly getting national news. You're not getting the local. You're not hearing whether your neighbor's got a problem with his dog or other people have a problem with getting help with their disabled family or sick family member, something like that. You don't get that in any other place except here.
All right, thank you. Yes, Randy?
Move the vote.
Are you ready to vote? No, we have one more comment. Is that all right, Randy?
So, excuse me, just listen to what everybody's saying here. I have a question about.
Can we have your name?
Just once, HULTS. The deliberative sessions, if this were to become an SB 2 town, those sessions go away, those discussions go away.
So, no, the way it works, and we have adopted SB2 on the school side, there's a deliberative session in which each of the warrant articles is discussed, but you don't vote on those articles at that time, and generally the only thing you can amend is the amount in the warrant article.
Okay. So you still have that then, you still have those discussions, those same people are still here, those same people at the end of the day will have their opinions and they will be voting in that fashion, most likely. With the SB2, we then have the additional ability to have the rest of the town who is either unable to make it or willing to make it or a myriad of valid reasons or invalid excuses to actually vote and participate in the town's items. You know, the mention of Facebook, my opinion is the town could do a better job of communicating information via the website. And maybe it's time for the town to embrace Facebook and utilize it as a vehicle to give the voters and the people of the town more information about these things so that they can make informed decisions. You know, that's something I've seen in other towns that I've lived in many years ago at the beginning of Facebook and social media. So from my perspective, what I'm hearing, it doesn't sound like a bad idea to give more people the ability to have a voice, and the people who are at these deliberative sessions, they're the ones who are still going to have their say back and forth. And then maybe they can communicate their feelings out to their neighbors and friends and maybe a little bit more than out, in addition to the possibility of using social media.
All right, thank you. Mr. Gary.
And Gary, I'd be a little bit cautious about the deliberative session. I've done a school board for 16 years, and when people come to the deliberative session, basically, well, you see many people here. And those articles can get modified by a very small amount of people. So you're opening up a situation. You'll find that people like here, just looking at the faces, are regular people who are pretty much in tune and informed as to what's going on in town. In my opinion, it's pretty right decisions over the course of years. I will segue a little bit on what the gentleman said about Facebook and what Joanne said. Like I said, I've been on the school board for about 16 years. A lot of this is the fault of public education. And I will be the first to stand here and say I'm on board. And why do I say that? We're doing a very poor job of teaching citizens. Very poor job. Everything seems to be focused on the national government. We need to focus more on our local, county, and state. So I encourage your support. That's what I'm advocating for the school board. Make sure, I mean, it's very clear, we saw our town ballot. Half the positions were all right. That's ridiculous. I know people are busy, but it has a lot to do with people being educated tonight. In my opinion, it's been about 2 decades now that this has been just a tamp down on civic education.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions regarding Article 20? Are you ready to vote on Article 20? Yes? All right, so we're going to vote. And we should, as we've done this before, line up, going up to the supervisors of the checklist. We do have little yes-no ballots. Yes is in favor of Article 20 in adopting SB2. No is in opposition to Article 20. So mark your ballot, put it in the ballot box, and after an hour, we will count them up. be open for at least 1 hour. So we'll make sure that that occurs. All right, we ready to go?
Yes.
We're on to Article 2, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the Budget Committee's recommended amount of the sum of $727,090 for government operations. The Selectmen recommend $733.90. This article does not contain appropriations contained in special or individual articles addressed. This includes executive at 150, elections at 3850, assessing service at 23104, legal expense 37500, personnel admin at 305205, financial admin 55112, planning and zoning 17377, conservation commission 2756, general government buildings 46920, insurance 58130. Again, that the Budget Committee recommended total of $727,290. Do I hear a motion to approve the article as read? Do I hear a second? Christine. Select Board want to address the article?
Sure, so, can everybody hear me? Okay, so we went through and, to stay within the 2% tax cap, we basically looked at what we had spent last year and tried to stay within that. There is a difference between the selectmen and the budget committee, and that difference is in the first line executive is $1,000 difference in association dues. The budget committee used that, looking at how much was not spent last year, and decided that they $1,000 wasn't necessarily needed. The other difference was on the general government buildings, which is electricity for the municipal building. They decided to decrease that. Those are the major differences. Other than that, they were aligned and agree with what the numbers were going to be.
Does anybody from the Budget Committee want to speak to it? Hearing none? What's that?
I'm on the budget committee, so we, unfortunately, our hands are tied because of 2% personally tax cap, so it's not much we agree with the select board majority, but we did look at electricity and we were under. So that's why we at electricity.
Okay. Other comments or questions? Yes.
Could you please ask the people to use the microphone? We can't hear.
Maybe we can move that mic. Oh, you got one. All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Other comments or questions on Article 2? Yes.
John, quick, can we hear from the police, fire, and EMS to see if they can live and work within this budget item?
That's not a long line.
Next article.
The run
Yeah.
Thanks so much, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Maybe next time.
Other comments? You want to vote on Article 2 already?
Yes, please.
Yes? All right, we're going to vote. All those in favor of Article 2 to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the Budget Committee's recommended amount of the sum of $727,290 for government operations, signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Think we'll be out of here? We'll be sitting around waiting for an hour to go by? That would be a record. Article 3, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the Budget Committee's recommended amount of the sum of $203, for public and safety operations. The Selectmen recommend $482,203. This article does not contain appropriations contained in special individual articles addressed. It includes police, 305, 273, fire and rescue, 78,051, EMS, 81,000, building inspection, 11,879, emergency management, 500, and county dispatch, 5,500. Again, the Budget Committee recommended amount of $482,203. Do I hear a motion to approve the article as read?
So moved.
Got Randy. And second? One of the select board want to speak to this article?
Yeah, I'll speak to it. Again, given the tax cap we're governed by, we went through and made the cuts necessary
other comments or questions? Yes, Joanne.
Just one question on the emergency management. We had some incidents of high winds and pretty bad storms. I'm kind of curious as to where we stand with the emergency management funds if we do get struck with something really drastic or that. What kind of condition are we in?
We're looking for an answer to that question. Are there other comments or questions in the meantime? Yes, Ken?
Just a comment, Jack. I always thought the fund balance that we carried every year for the selectmen now would fund those types of emergencies. And then typically, if there's a state emergency, there's distributions of funds that are typically reimbursed. I think that's an ice storm. I'm inclined to think this emergency management is more administrative, not actual work. The actual work is usually performed by highway department, the fire department, and the police department.
Would you agree with that?
Yes, that would be, yes, you have, the emergency management is basically to administer and kind of run the whole project or whatever, but then it would be basically state reimbursed and FEMA and such and that. But I can tell you, if you're looking at, so we do have a national EMA disaster capital reserve fund, and in that right now is $18,206. I buy a couple cases of bottled water.
Yeah, so 18,206 in the natural and man-made emergencies.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
So, Dan Phillips again. So what happens when we have these storms, ice storms, wind storms and stuff like that? Usually what happens is they'll send out a survey to see if they're gonna qualify for federal money. So what we do is we get an email, and if we have to expend any time, materials, and all that stuff, we'll put that in with the county, and then that way they get a threshold that they have to meet for FEMA money. So that is being done on a few of these storms. I think we had 3 this year. One was in the summer with a lot of rain and flooding. So like I said, thresholds were not met for FEMA money on those particular ones, but that is the process. So if there is something, a disaster or something like that, then we keep track of all the time, and then we turn that into the state, and the state will then issue a request for FEMA money. So that is the process, just so you know, that there is something being done.
Good, thanks. John?
If you need help, meeting that threshold, just give us a call. A few of us can drop some trees across the street.
Yes. As long as they get wires,
that would be the man-made emergency. Yeah.
Also, it's important to remember that it's nice that the federal and state are willing to give us some money, but that money comes from us too. I mean, all this, it's not magic money that comes from somewhere else. We pay it, and my brother Utah 1 year. What? It's short, so don't think federal money is a gift. They're willing to give it for free. It's always good strings, and we never always get everything we're looking for. These guys work hard, and sometimes the federal government, we don't qualify all the storms.
Other comments or questions? Yes, Joanne?
Just one question for Dan. We can apply for this for reimbursement, but I think it's also nice to have the funds sitting in a way so that we need immediate expenditures, we've got it, and we can get reimbursed maybe.
Joe?
Okay, I kind of miss the point. Emergency management, we always had a chief and stuff like that. Go through this in cases like that. This is the money that they would use to go to training and stuff like that, whatever. The other stuff we're talking about is the disaster stuff. If it happens, that we had $18,000 in, okay? This right here, basically just our who was assigned the duties of emergency management, to attend classes and all that kind of stuff like that. That's why it's always like $500, whatever, it never,
Okay, thank you. Other questions or comments on Article 3? Ready to vote on Article 3? All right. All those in favor of Article 3 to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the Budget Committee's recommended amount of the sum of $482,203 for public safety operations, signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Article 4, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the Budget Committee's recommended amount of the sum of $438,994 for highways, streets, bridges, and street lighting operations. The Selectmen recommend $438,994. This article does not contain appropriations contained in special or individual articles addressed. They include highway at $359,634, highway block grant $61,860, street lighting $2,500, school diesel gasoline $15,000, and we're a total of $438,994. Do I hear a motion to approve Article 4 as read?
Second.
Got that? All right, Select Board?
Again, we looked at, worked with the department heads, and we, stayed within the 2% budget, and, I think we came back with a relatively workable budget. It's, increased about 15,000 over last year, and that's, 2%, so I think we're good.
Okay.
The budget committee came back and agreed with that number, so.
Dan, any comments?
Yeah, and you want to speak to it?
Just all said, I'm comfortable with the number that we have to work with for the year. So.
All right, other questions or comments on Article 4? Ready to vote? Article 4? All right, all those in favor of Article 4 to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the Budget Committee's recommended amount of the sum of $438,994 for highway, streets, bridges, and street lighting operations, signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Article 5, see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the Budget Committee's recommended amount of the sum of $201,612 for health and welfare operations. The Selectmen recommend $206,12. The article does not contain appropriations contained in special or individual articles addressed. Includes animal control at $505, health agency $7,001, welfare $10,105, solid waste $184, $1, for a total again of $201,12. Do I hear a motion to approve Article 5 as read? Get a name? Randy Town. And a second?
Second.
Any comments from the Select Board?
No, again, we're basically, we're only basically $1,000 over the budget from last year. So and right now, I do believe we are in our last year of our contract, so this may change the next year, not 2024, but 2025. So, but right now, we're looking at $1,000 increase over last year.
Very good. Other questions or comments on Article 5? Ready to vote? All right. All those in favor of Article 5, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the Budget Committee's recommended amount of the sum of $201,612 for health and welfare operations, signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Article 6, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the Budget Committee's recommended amount of the sum of $1,701 for culture and recreation operations. The Selectmen recommend $1,701. This article does not contain appropriations contained in special or individual articles addressed. This includes beach maintenance of $1,200, other cultural recreation of $1, patriotic, I think means the flags, $500, total again $1,701. Do I hear a motion to approve Article 6 as read?
So moved.
Go Bailey.
Second.
Go on. Any comments, questions?
I'll just comment that this line decreased about $2,000, and that's primarily due to moving the rec money to a different line. It was moved up into, in the previous article, and this beach maintenance slightly less because of the I told the porta potty down at John. So
comments on Article 6? Yes, Yvonne.
Just can't we hear what,
Did you not hear me?
no.
Oh, okay. So I was just saying that the money for the rec department that moved up into Article 5, that's why this line decreased so much from last year. But it did, the rental of the porta potty for John's Beach did increase, but overall 1,701.
So the money for the rec department can move up to.
We got it moved up to Article 5 under the health agencies.
Yes, Tammy.
How much does the rec department have? I don't know.
How much will they?
3,000.
So we have to.
Yes. Yep.
I have another question. Can we move that back down to Article, I don't know, I'm not sure what to say, how to say it.
She was looking for an increase for the rec, we didn't realize it was up in the other part.
Right, because most of this is based on, if I remember correctly, it was based on the when COVID and we didn't have a lot of activities, but now we're doing a lot more activities and we have a lot more planned.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong, Jack.
So
You have to go back and reopen that.
you could reconsider Article 5.
Thank you.
However, you do have other cultural recreation and $1 in that, and someone could make a motion to adjust that $1 to another amount and make a specific recommendation. If you have the selectmen determine, you've got the ability to move money around in the administration.
I guess my question would be is, I understand that 3,000 is what we've been giving in the past several years. We have not used the 3,000 fully. So I guess the reasoning as to why we want to increase it over the 3,000.
So why don't we get a motion on the floor if we're going to talk about this? Someone make a motion to amend Article 6 in terms of the amount specifically for...
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay,
Bonnie?
so we need an amount.
500.
500.
500, no, $500. We have a motion on the floor to amend Article 6 by upping the 1701 to 17,501, specifically for other cultural recreation to go to 501. Comments and questions on, first of all, comments and questions on the amendment. Yes, John?
Yeah, the $500 is not the 17,501. You have to amend the number, about 2201.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, you're right. I did my math wrong. Sorry, thank you for the correction, John, appreciate it. Just to clarify, that would be 2201 if the amendment passes and then the article passes. Other comments or questions on the amendment to Article 6? Yes?
Can I ask what it was pre-COVID that was being used? I know there have been a lot more events, which has been great, it's all ages and things like that, but what were they putting in there prior?
I can answer that. We were getting 3,500 before.
2,500 before?
35.
3,500 before, okay. So this would restore to pre-COVID funding.
And with the prices that have increased all over,
Can we wait a minute?
Yeah.
Can we have your name? Yes,
Brittany Mailer.
Thank you.
All right, Bonnie, you had your hand up.
I can speak to that as the president of the RAC. I'm sorry, what was the question?
I was just asking what the budget had been pre-COVID,
Okay.
because we were still new.
Right. So off of what Roxanne said, yes, we haven't spent as much, but we are doing a lot more now. We're trying to build up for 3.5 years now. Middleton will be 250 years old, and we're trying to build up doing stuff during Old Home Week and doing something special for our 250th birthday. I think would be awesome. So we're trying to build up for that, and to do that we need to get funds in our account, and this is the way of building up a little bit and helping us do more. Plus we have a lot more kids coming. At our Christmas party we had like 100 kids there, and we give them all presents. We have crafts and food and everything, and you know, that takes money, and as you know, prices are going up on everything.
Okay, so we have an amendment on the floor to raise the amount by $500 in Article 6. Do you want to vote on the amendment?
Yes.
Yes? All right. All those in favor of amending Article 6 to raise the amount to $2,201, specifically with $500 more to go to other cultural recreation, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The amendment carries. Any other comments on the amended Article 6? Yes, John?
I think it's important to separate recreation from health agencies, because I think of health agencies being out of town, out of state. The rec department are people who know. They seem to be more trustworthy too, because they live here. They take the kids. They're very welcome. It's a great little party. We haven't attended, and some people don't have kids or grandkids to do that, or if you don't have time. My kids enjoyed it, and they're old. They're teenagers. They still go and have fun with the little kids. You know, if you want to build community and civic duty and obligation, you have town events like that. Santa Claus driving around a fire truck doesn't put out one house fire. But every kid loves that. They love the Easter Bunny on the fire truck. It's a great community event. And it's a little bit of time, a little bit of gas. But look how the community inspires. I know the fire department's got nothing but time in their hands. They don't want to spend any time with their families, so they drive around with Santa. It's nice. I appreciate Santa comes to the rec, the school, and the fire department. He's very busy that time of year. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes, Christine?
Where the recreation committee said they're a nonprofit group, they're not a part of the town, how much money have you guys fundraised on your own so far, year to date?
Year to date, we just started doing stuff, so.
Or even last year, how much have you fundraised? Have you done anything else other than?
We have done some fundraising. I don't recall our exact figures from last year right now. It was low, like $500 or so. It wasn't a lot.
Yeah, I
We're
get
trying
$20
to-
right now.
Thank you so much.
Don't touch it, Mike's.
All right, yes, Tammy?
Supporting the rec department in this town is so very important for these kids. A lot of times, these kids are just going and playing on video games and stuff, and it gives them something to look forward to, the Christmas party, the Halloween party. This is very important.
Thank you. Ann, Joanne?
In regard to the recreation committee and their fundraising, I haven't had a lot of direct work with them, but I'm of the opinion that they spend a lot more in time, in consideration of dollars spent than they are recouping in fundraising. Fundraising doesn't seem to be all that much of a priority with people's minds. So I think helping them out of the town funds is a good idea.
All right, yes.
I just have a question that perplexes me to no end as to why they would move from cultural recreation to health agencies. That seems odd.
And so further clarification.
So the name health agencies is actually all nonprofits. So why it got moved is it was asked by the rec department to put it up into that line so that they could receive the full funds that are allocated to the rec department. So prior, it was held down into, say, Article 6 under culture, other culture and rec, and the town only reimbursed what was spent. So if there's $3,000 in there, they only spent $1,500, that's all the rec department got was $1,500 to reimburse. With putting it up under the health agency, which is donations, right, so nonprofits, they'll get the full amount, they can request the full amount, we give the full amount, and then we don't have to reimburse them for anything they spend it on. The way they choose to spend the money is on them because they're a nonprofit, and they do have the nonprofit status. Yep.
Other comments or questions on, yes?
Jan Hopkins, I happen to agree with her. I think the speaker was selecting, have what committees, have. I understand your intent, I understand how it's going to be there and so on. I think it's important to know business, okay? Because it does not
That's all I want to say. I
All right, thank you.
It was like that, it's been like that for many, many years. I just want you to all know that it's also under that line. It's the VNA, Community Action, American Red Cross, Stratford Nutrition and Meals, Safe Haven, the Greater Wakefield Resource, and Middleton Recreation. So I do agree it needs to be a nonprofit, but it has been like that for many, many years.
All right, hang on, Ken, I got one behind you, yes.
So Brittany Baylor, I understand it's been like that. I do think it's confusing. It all leaves it open that if it's deliberately put out to, let's say, the rec, then we're saying as a town, that's what we want to use for, versus if it's lumped under other things. My understanding is everything's bottom line. Technically, it can be used however. So by having, like, could we just add another line item that's the nonprofit donations?
Those are the lines that I just read, are the lines in that.
I think she's talking about the warrant article itself, right?
You want it broken out on the warrant article?
Right, is there a way to specify that out, that it's not unclear to anybody? It's in there, and everybody can agree that that's what it's for, and...
So just kind of, this is the first year this is happening, so this is all kind of, that's a lot.
Right, that's why I'm asking.
So we're taking
I'm
the
asking a
feedback
question.
and we'll correct it for next year.
Okay, Ken,
The purpose of the article is a no-brainer. Move the question.
Thank you.
you ready to vote on the amended Article 6?
Yes.
All right, all those in favor of Article 6 as amended, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the amended amount of $2,201 for culture and recreation operations, signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Article 7, see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $200,000 for the purpose of road construction and paving of various roads in town. This is a non-lapsing appropriation pursuant to RSA 32:76 and will not lapse until the road construction and paving is completed or December 31st, 2028, whichever is sooner. Yes, $200,000. Do I hear a motion to approve Article 7 as read?
Janet Hackett, so moved.
Second? Dan, did you want to speak to this?
I'd love to have more, to do more with it, but, yeah, well, I'm good with this.
Okay. Comments or questions on Article 7? Yes, Ken?
It seems like a low amount to me. I'm just driving around the roads in town. I feel like we're actually, we're falling behind a little bit. And it seems like a lower number than usual, than what I'm used to seeing. So I do want to know if it's an adequate amount from the road agent relative to the non-lapsing. This is something that we don't maintain our roads, and we want to, if we start cutting on it, we're going to pay for it 10 years down the road, big time. The roads is something you want to maintain.
All right, Joe?
It's a non-lapsing, and every year we go for non-lapsing, how much is in the account now? It's still non-lapsing.
Yeah, so the question is there other funds that still exist that aren't yet lapsed? We know that amount?
I believe it's in the neighborhoods, or it was last year in the neighborhoods of like 70,000.
70?
Yes.
Still?
How much?
70 is what I'm told.
I don't,
70,000.
yeah.
That hadn't been used, it's already over this year.
You have a follow-up question, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like every year, 200,000, 200,000, it's way to, I was stuck on 200, 250,000. And either it's lapsed, you can't use it, or it's been used. And I don't see where it's been used.
So,
where, I mean, other than down to Ridge Road, does that take most of all that money and get rid of it, or what?
no, so, mind you, I've been here for 3 years. So, when we first started, the 200,000 is what we were working with. And then, when they did the audit, they did find that there was some residual money that was left over, so that the next year, I was able to incorporate some of that without going over that. That's why I say right now, I don't have the number. That's the last number I recall hearing was the 70,000. we would have to have some time to look at that. 200,000, yes, does not do a lot of paving, but we do have a plan, and we're gonna try to stick to that plan. And the roads are actually in pretty decent shape. There are a few that are banged up a little bit, but they're not in dire need. Yeah, we could make them a little better, but like I said, you go to some of the surrounding towns and take a drive through, and I know I've worked in Rochester, I've worked all over the place, and really, the material that's under the roads is what helps us, the base. So I'm comfortable with the number for right now, yes.
All right, I know, Joanne, you had your hand up.
Your first comment when you were asked about the budget and you thought about it, you said that you'd like more, but you can work with this. Where exactly, where do you like the additional funds? What can you put those funds to?
Well, with the paving, we're talking about the paving. $200,000, it's X amount of tons, they put it out for, so that I'm limited to linear feet of road. Obviously, if you increase the number, we're gonna increase the linear feet of the road. We're not gonna use it for buying a machine or doing something else. It's gonna go right into the paving. Obviously, the more money you put in, the more paving you can do, and that's.
So I think she's looking for a little guidance. If you had more and could have more linear feet, where would those linear feet be?
Where is the plan for what's the plan for this year to pave?
This year, we have the top down here where we get down by Lucrezios, so that will have the proper amount of pavement on it. And then we're gonna do some more shimming on Kings Highway, and we're gonna try to get our main road through town done. And what we call the X is Ridge Road, New Durham Road, Silver Street, and Kings Highway. Kings Highway gets the most amount of traffic, so that one we should be concentrating on. And there are other side roads that we'd like to upgrade and do some work on. But like I said, the main focus is gonna be on that X first.
All right, Joe, and then we'll go to you.
So, what are you alluded to a audit? What audit for what year?
It was, I think it was a
2023.
2023?
Well, last year, there were three audits done. The audits hadn't been done for the prior 3 years.
So all the audits are up to date?
Yep, we have scheduled to come in for 2023 in May. But she did 2022, 2021, and 2020.
And when I first started, it was back to 2019. Okay, so when they gave me the number that I was to work with for the paving, I would have to look back. But there was a significant amount of carryover that I was able to put in, and we were able to do more with that. Upper Kings Highway, Ridge Road, and then down here, so. And not wanting to go over on the paving budget, there was a little buffer left there. And when I say buffer, I don't mean extra money. The money, I didn't want to expend more than we had, because then we'd have to come up with that money to pay, obviously, the paving. So the number that we're going to use for this year is hopefully this 200,000 plus whatever we have left over, and that's what we'll get an estimate on. And it's basically linear feet of road is what you're going to get.
Yeah.
So Dan, you're basically saying you have enough money to do what you need. We all know 153 all the way down to Union is not our roads. That's why you don't call for them. So I put in that we move on and vote on it. We had no extra money. You're happy where we're going to go.
Yep.
All right, other questions or comments on Article 7? Ready to vote on Article 7?
Yes.
All right. All those in favor of Article 7 to see if the town will vote to raise or appropriate the sum of $200,000 for the purpose of road construction and paving of various roads in town, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Article 8, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be added to the Highway Department Vehicle Capital Reserve Fund previously established. Both the Budget Committee and the Board of Selectmen recommend this. Do I hear a motion to approve Article 8 as read? Have a second?
Second.
You want to speak to this at all?
No, this is just our typical, our regular CRF. Each year, we try to put money in there so that we don't get hit fully for having to purchase a vehicle. And I'm going to give you the amount here. And currently in that fund is $41,908.
41,908 currently in the fund, so this 10 would go to that. And Budget Committee?
How are vehicles doing? We have a lot of them. So a shop a lot, are we looking at new vehicles coming up?
Yeah, we do, and this got voted on last year. We do have a truck on order. It's in the wind, but it will be delivered hopefully in the next few months. And the next truck to go behind that one would be a 2009. So the 2003 is the one that we are replacing. That truck did make it through the winter. So the 2009 is the next one that we're going to be looking at. That's in very good shape.
What vehicle is that?
That's one of the big plow trucks. Yeah. So we do have a new plow truck, big plow truck coming in. We're going to utilize the sander that we already have. It's a stainless steel sander. All you do is replace the chains every now and then, but that's why we're going to stainless body, and it's going to be an automatic, so less fatigue and stuff on the driver. And it's a special order, so this is what takes a little while. Has beefed up suspension and all that stuff that's made from pound. So yeah.
Is that up from last
Yes. So that truck that we're waiting for, we have utilized block grant money and the money that we had put aside. So that's all righty.
All right, other comments or questions on Article 8? Ready to vote? No, go ahead.
I'd just like to say that $10,000 a year, if you don't want to see a significant impact on your taxes, is not even close to enough money. These trucks are in excess of $220,000 with all the emissions stuff and all that they're keeping on with the changes constantly. This truck that we have on order, believe it or not, we've been trying to get this truck for over 2 years, and just because of the emission increases, it's went up around $30,000 since we ordered the truck. And you don't have a choice. They'll tell you, you don't want the truck, don't take it, because you can't get them anyway. So, I'm just putting it out there that, I don't know how long it's been 10,000 feet. How long it's been 10,000 in capital reserve?
It's been for a while.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if you want to see us get in this spot where, because, a 2009, yeah, the truck is in nice shape, but it's, when stuff starts going wrong with it, it gets very expensive very quick, so I'm just putting it out there.
All right, Randy.
You're going to hate it, but move the vote.
Well, I've got another hand up, is that all right? Yeah. Unless you were seconding. Unless you were seconding the motion.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
I just want to tag on to what Jim's saying. It's kind of what I've been saying about a lot of these different reserve funds we have. And it kind of started out originally with the breathing apparatus. One year, we voted it down. And I made a comment to Bill Lawrence that, when you think about how much it costs over the long term for breathing apparatus, so if it costs $100,000 over the course of 10 years, we do 10,000 a year, so it's evened out. I think that's what Jim's getting at, because when I look at $10,000, I think to myself, over the next 10 years, and I've been in here long enough to know that you don't just spend $100,000 every 10 years on heavy equipment in the highway department. I don't think now's the time to increase it this year. I think the budget committee needs to be able to have an opportunity to weigh in on it. But I would hope that next year we come forward, we would increase that value so that we're not coming in with a warrant article that we usually do. We say, oh, we're gonna take 50,000 or 70,000 from the fund reserve balance, and it's gonna cost us an additional $160,000 or $170,000 based on the numbers I'm hearing now to get a truck. And that's the tax impact. So we know what these vehicles cost, we know typically what we need for vehicles over the course of time, 10, 20 years, for vehicle replacement. Let's fractionalize it across the year so we get a nice even flow.
All right. Yeah.
So I would 100% agree with you, but the problem is we have a 2% tax cap in Middleton, which does not work, in my opinion, for a small town. That would work great for a bigger town that can shuffle their money around, but for a small town with our 2% tax cap, we are very limited with where we put our money and everything. So when we need those big trucks, we don't have the funds to really put that money into it. So next year, hopefully, we'll go out saying much more than that would be pushing, but that's where our hands are tied with the 2% tax cap for a small town. It just doesn't work for us, in my opinion.
Yeah, go ahead, and then we'll go back
To further expand upon what Kathleen has said is true, so as we put the budget together, and we have to be mindful of the 2% tax cap, some of the things we have to look at is say, do we have to take money out of our decrease some of these capital reserve funds, or eliminate one of the capital reserve funds to stay within the compliance of the 2% tax cap? So this is why it comes to town meeting for you to say, this is legislative body, to say, well, you know what? We're staying, the budget presented is 2%. However, we see that, yes, really this, Article 10 or whatever article should be $30,000 more. That's up to you to make that determination. We can only present with what we're guided with, which is the 2%. But then when it comes to town meeting, you have the ability to change that.
Subject to the 10% of the
10%,
budget committee. With 10% of the budget committee.
So that's what we're trying to do.
Okay, I got a number of hands up. Jim, you were first.
Yeah, that was just a point that I don't know if everybody realizes that. So, yes, we would have went to the budget committee and tried to get more money for that specific purpose. But we knew there's no way they can do that. They're struggling to keep us funded to do what we need to do. But it's my understanding, I think that's what we're trying to say, is that we can change that right now. You can change that number, and they can go over the 2% here. They can't go over the 2%, with what they're working with, right? Isn't that it in a nutshell?
What they present, yes. So Joe, and then I'll go back to John.
Okay, so, I got a couple of questions. First of all, what's in the unsigned fund balance?
Unofficially,
Why unofficially?
because until you're audited. Right, so, it is 1.32 million, 1.3 million.
Okay. So, in the past, I got like $500,000 to take the taxes that would be running down for a couple of months. Like $500,000. That means you got another, what? $3.4 million that you can use to tax
Right, and
it,
there
or
are,
whatever.
no, but there are, so if we, as we go along, Joe, just say there are.
I understand, but you don't work that much.
Say that again?
You don't do that much money on this unsigned fund
No,
balance.
but the
It's actually, if you go to put money into these tax reserves like that.
From unassigned, yes. From
I
unassigned,
can't hear you,
from
Rob.
unassigned, Jack, John, is that what you're saying? From unassigned?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're saying,
Yes,
but, okay, so let me, and I agree. So as we further go along, you're gonna see there are articles in here that we're asking to use unassigned money from, the unassigned fund balance. But also, then all of a sudden, we do 1 year, unassigned, the next year, oh, we're gonna pay taxes, the tax rate goes in. We're trying to keep the tax rate.
I understand,
That's all.
I'm not trying to be argumentative, I understand, okay?
Yes.
Used to do it. But you can sit there and have a certain amount of that unassigned balance money set aside for what you need, okay? And the taxpayers, you can use it for once a year, the IRA calls, say you want to reduce taxes.
Yep.
Yes, we'll take, say, $300,000 of money to help reduce taxes.
Correct.
Okay, we keep $500,000 for emergencies in case people don't pay their taxes and we have to pay our bills, okay? That's still leave money left over, okay? You can utilize it, not all of it, but some of that money to fund these balances at a higher amount on an annual basis. That's what I'm saying, you have money there that can use, voted by the taxpayers once a year in this meeting to do so.
Okay, so if it's all right, Joe, I'm going to go back to John. You had your hand up?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, we have a lot of trust funds here on page 56. I just want to know, hopefully, our trustee and trust funds are looking for options to try to increase it. I know bank interest doesn't pay a lot. Certainly doesn't go for a fire truck or a dump truck, but are we looking for other financial options to try to make our money go? I mean, these are savings for the future. That's what they are. I mean, we do this every year. We try to put a little aside so that when we do buy it, it doesn't hurt as much. And we all appreciate it. That comes from out of our pockets. And we have to all decide what we put in them. We're getting a deal with all these departments. All the people that work them are great. The equipment we don't get a deal on because that's the way it is. But the people are a big deal. Can we look into the trust fund and see if there's anything we can do to make more money? I don't know what it is.
You can speak to the the head of the trustee of the trust funds, that's Janet. She can probably tell you what she's doing.
That's fine. I'm wondering the town is looking to invest properly and,
All right, so I'm going to bring it back to Article 8, if that's all right?
Yes.
Are you ready to vote on Article 8? You have other comments or questions?
I'd like to make a motion to increase it from 10,000 to 30,000 with the hopes that the road agent can come back to us next year with an idea of a value, more accurate value.
There's a motion on the floor to amend Article 8 from $10,000 to $30,000. Is there a second to that motion? I see one in the back.
Yeah, question over there.
All right. So, questions or comments on the proposed amendment to Article 8? Yes.
Brittany Baylor. I don't recall which meeting this was discussed at, but I seem to recall that at some point there's supposed to be a capital improvement plan that was looking at the long-term plans for the town and all that type of thing. I don't know if this would fall under that heading, all of this equipment and whatnot, but I would think all these reserve funds for the long-term planning would come under that.
Yes, so part of that is, yes, the capital improvement plan was updated last year, and each department had presented to the planning board, what they would like, what their long-term, short-term needs were going to be. And, based off of that, we look at and see, but we also reach out to the department heads and say, this is what we're looking for, they want up it, we can't be like, we're under that 2% tax cap, so we can't just go and say, we're gonna have to be 10,000 and we're gonna up it to 20,000. That eats at that 2%, that eats into your regular operating budget. So you need to take, the overall budget that we're looking at, so.
Right, but has that plan been completed? Like, what's the status?
Say that again?
Has the plan been completed?
Yes, it had to be completed, yes.
Okay, is that available to be seen?
It's,
I don't
I
remember.
believe it's available online.
Okay, I just didn't remember seeing it on there.
Yep, I believe it's available online.
All right, other questions or comments on the proposed amendment to Article 8? Yes.
Okay, so I just want to speak to the highway department is unlike the fire department, police department. We do get state funding, which is the block grant, every year. In the past, the block grant was not completely used to purchase equipment and stuff like that. So this Article 8, the money that they're putting into that is just to subsidize some of the cost of that truck. we're not, the highway department is not looking for the town to go out and save the money and buy the complete new truck. The fire department does not have a highway block grant. The police department does not have a highway block grant. We, however, do have a highway block grant, which is state money, federal money, and we use that to purchase our equipment. It would be great to have the $30,000 to go in there. Do I think that's necessary right now? I do not. Like I said, the equipment that's on the other two, and this is just speaking the truth right now, like I said, I'm comfortable with the 10,000, and all that's going to do is subsidize the cost of the truck. Every year we get a block grant. We cannot rely on that, but it's been pretty consistent since I've been here. So that's my 2 cents worth.
All right, other questions or comments? John?
In conjunction with what Roxanne said, looking ahead a bit, Articles 15, 16, and 17, if passed as written, would be using over $100,000 from unassigned fund balance. So it's already in the works to use some of it.
Okay, good. Ken, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I work with numbers. How much do we get in block grants every year?
If you look back on the last page, this past year it was 61,860, just for that fiscal year. Now the state's fiscal year is from July to July, so it doesn't really. The money that they say that we get for the year, we don't actually get the full amount until like July coming up. But that is an exact number. And they also every once in a while will kick in some other monies. They had one for the bridges. So like I said, you cannot count on it, but it's been pretty consistent since I've been here.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure I understand. I do think value. So if we get $60,000 a year, if we don't have an adequate amount in the budget for that particular year to buy a new vehicle, we would then have to add money through a regular warrant article, say, for an additional $60,000. What I'm getting at is trying to have the money available, so as you get that block grant in of $60,000, you buy a $220,000 truck, we should have the difference of a $220,000, meaning we'd have to have $160,000 in the capital reserve account. Otherwise, you're not buying the truck, or you're putting in a warrant article for that value less the amount that we already have in the reserve fund.
Right.
So what I'm getting at is making sure that we're properly funded, that gives you the ability to make that truck purchase.
Yes.
Without having to add something into a warrant.
And
I know there'll be a difference of maybe 10, 15,000.
And I agree.
Back, but it'll help mitigate the ups and downs.
All right, Jim.
Well, you might want to also take into consideration that I believe we overspent on vehicle repair $1,000 this year. So you may sometimes think that you're going to be able to have 60,000 out of the profit, out of the block grant, but it may go for something like that, or if you lost culvert somewhere and had to hire a contractor to come in, that block grant can be used for anything, not just, we try to hoard it and save it for equipment as much as we can, but we can't always do it.
Okay. Are we ready to vote on the amendment to Article 8?
Seconded?
It was seconded, yes. So we have an amendment to Article 8 to amend the amount from $10,000 to $30,000. You ready to vote on that? All those in favor of amending Article 8 to raising appropriating $10,000 to raising appropriating $30,000 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
I'm going to ask for a show of hands. All those in favor of amending Article 8 to up the number from 10 to 20,000 signify by raising your hand.
To 30,000.
To 30,000, excuse me, one. Okay, all those opposed? The amendment does not carry. 24 to 14. All right, you ready to go on Article 8?
Yes.
Yes. All those in favor of Article 8 to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be added to the Highway Department Vehicle Capital Reserve Fund previously established, signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Article 9, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be added to the revaluation capital reserve fund previously established. The Budget Committee recommends and the Board of Selectmen recommends. Do I hear a motion to approve Article 9 as read? And second?
Second.
Anyone want to speak to this?
This is just our capital reserve fund that we have set up to have the reevaluation completed every 5 years. We do it so that we don't get stuck with the bill all in 1 year, so we spread it out over 5 years.
Okay, Joe?
I'm just asking, I don't want to do it anymore.
Other questions or comments? Yes, go ahead.
We've been in this town for a little while, I don't think the amount has ever gone up from the standard 10,000 to 50,000.
Right, so right now, the balance is just, I think, $6,200 in the account. And we won't have, we'll be raising over the next 4 to 5 years, $50,000. So, and I believe our bill is right around that. If it isn't, this will be readjusted next year.
All right. Yes, Lenny?
Let's move it as read.
Okay, ready to vote?
Yeah.
All right. All those in favor of Article 9 to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be added to the reevaluation capital reserve fund previously established, signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Article 10, see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $5,000 to be added to the self-contained breathing apparatus capital reserve fund previously established. Budget and Board of Selectmen both recommend. Do I hear a motion to approve Article 10 as read?
No motion.
Second?
Second.
Comments or questions?
It's a standard fund that goes in, it's a standard fund that goes in every year. It's to help alleviate the cost when the SCBA's need to be replaced.
Other questions or comments? Want to vote? Or Janet?
Mike, how many, SCs, agencies?
We have 12.
You have 12. Okay, how often, do
So I'm trying to cycle them so we're not replacing all at once. So they're good for about 10 years and then they have to be replaced all at once. So I'm trying to not to hit that since they were purchased at the same time. I'm just trying to offset it.
how much is it? How much is one?
I think $6,000. SCBA?
Yeah, we'd be over 100.
Yeah. So.
Other questions or comments?
I'm going to say it again. Move the vote.
You ready to vote? Yes. All right. All those in favor of Article 10 to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $5,000 to be added to the self-contained breathing apparatus capital reserve fund previously established, signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. I'm going to try to get us through Article 12, and then we'll take a break. We'll close the ballot, the written ballots. We'll count that up. We'll come back from the break, announce that, and we'll finish. Does that sound good? Let's get a couple more going here then. Article 11, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,000 to be added to the natural or man-made disasters capital reserve fund previously established. Do I hear a motion to approve Article 11 as read?
So moved. Second, Joe.
Any comments or questions regarding this article?
Move the vote.
You want a chainsaw? Ken, go out? No? All right, ready to vote on this one? Yes. All those in favor of Article 11 to see if the town will vote to raise appropriate sum of $1,000 to be added to the Natural Man-Made Disasters Capital Reserve Fund previously established signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Article 12, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $25,000 be added to the Fire Department Replacement Vehicle Capital Reserve Fund previously established. Both the Budget Committee and Selectmen recommend as. Do I hear a motion to approve Article 12 as read?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
It's the standard. It was increased from 10,000 to 25,000 last year or the year before. I can't remember which one it was, but it was increased.
Yes, Joe.
How much is in it?
Can we find out how much is in that capital reserve fund?
I don't know off the top of
$114,689. Yes, sir.
Question, how long until you have to replace one of the vehicles?
it should have been replaced several years ago. Should have been replaced several years
What's
ago.
the cost to replace the vehicle?
If we're looking new, we're upwards of $800,000. If we're looking, we're looking used, it's more reasonable for our town. So so used is upwards of 400,000 versus $1 million. How's that? In perspective.
Yes, Joe.
Even this amount of money.
Yes.
We're gonna be voting short of what we need to have.
So, that being said, there are grants out there as well. So, we just keep applying for grants, we'll see what we can get. It's not all for naught, and we are working on it as well, on our end.
Yes, Ken.
How long do those grants last? Like, do they lapse, or do they, like, if we got a grant, say, for $80,000, is it available for 3 years?
It all depends on how they, or what type of grant we're going. If it's a vehicle replacement, it's until you get a vehicle. And they do tell you the lapsing, how long it does last, what you add.
Give an idea roughly of that?
I do not know, unfortunately, just don't know.
Other questions or comments on Article 12? Yes.
No, I know I go off on some part, but how often do you take the fire truck? How many fires do you have to do?
It all depends on the year. On average, probably about 2. We do take them out, 2 structure fires, but we go to fire calls everywhere. We do responding EMS calls. We do mutual aid to other towns as well. So they do go out and about.
Other questions or comments on Article 12? Randy? All right, we're ready to vote on Article 12. All those in favor of Article 12 to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $25,000 to be added to the Fire Department Vehicle Capital Reserve Fund previously established, signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. All right, I'm going to suggest that we...
Can I make a motion right now that we make a motion to not reconsider anything with this fire?
You can make that motion. You can make so the motion on the floor to restrict Articles 1, well, we haven't finished 20, right? So we don't know the outcome of that. I would say Articles 2 through 12, motion to restrict from reconsideration. Is there a second to that? All right, does everyone understand what's going on here? I see nodding heads, yes. So, any comments or questions about that before we vote on that motion to restrict reconsideration? All right. All those in favor of restricting reconsideration on Articles 2 through 12 signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. All right, let's come back here in 10 minutes and we'll go from there.
can't believe, oh, there goes something to you. He was like, oh my God, are you okay?
All right.
He was paying attention.
So you want a little history?
Already?
I got a new book. So, so these town records, one of the important things about them, not only are they recording the actions that the townspeople take from year to year, and talk about the buildings that kind of, it also records marriages and births and so forth. So this is family history as much as town history. It's really community history. And so just looking right, page at the end, the following is a record of the birth of the family of John Frost and his children. And there was John Jr., born September 11th, 1786, Martha York, born 1788, Hiram Burley Frost, April 11th, 1813, Myra Blake Frost, born 1814, Clarissa David Frost, born 1817. Right? So somewhere there's descendants of those who find this invaluable information. So, thanks again for.
Is Roxanne's birthday there?
I think a legit question.
Yes, Kate. All right, Kate?
Is there a way to preserve that digital?
Yeah, we should probably talk to the State Historical Society, and what we have to do is get that sort of permanently protected, but have copies and records of it available.
It's on the budget, for restoring records. Another binder.
Is the question, is there funding?
Yes, there's funding in the budget for restoration of records, and that's what Gary Duncan comes in, and that's what he does.
Okay, great, good. Thank you. So the voting on Article 20 is now closed. The tally of the written ballots was, let me make sure I get this right. Yes, 15, no, 43. So the article does not carry, and so we won't be going to SB 2. Very good discussion, I will say. I'm always impressed with the quality of the discussion by this group every year. On budget items, we've gotten really very sophisticated about how we think about the budgets, and you guys do a great job. It's an honor to be your moderator. All right, ready for Article 13? All right, Article 13. See if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be added to the Public Safety Complex Capital Reserve Fund previously established, recommended by both the Budget Committee and the Board of Selectmen. Do I hear a motion to approve Article 13 as read?
So moved. Second.
Questions or comments, or you want to speak to it at all? Yes, sir.
I'm afraid to ask, but I will. How much money is in there right now?
$30,953 in the previously established fund so far. Other questions or comments on Article 13? Ready to vote? All right. All those in favor of Article 13 to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be added to the Public Safety Complex Capital Reserve Fund previously established, signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Article 13 carries. Article 14, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be added to the Medical Equipment Capital Reserve Fund previously established. Budget Committee recommends, Board of Selectmen recommend. Do I hear a motion to approve Article 14 as read?
So moved. Second.
Questions or comments on Article 14?
I will mention this article, this capital reserve fund was just established last year. It's new, is that correct, right, Andrea?
Yes.
Yeah, so this was, so vote for it for this time, so the money,
comments? Ready to vote on Article 14? All those in favor of Article 14 to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be added to the medical equipment capital reserve fund previously established, signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Article 15, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $50,000 for the purpose of construction, drainage, and paving of the Old Town Hall parking lot, with said funds to come from the unassigned fund balance. No amount to be raised from taxation. This is a non-lapsing appropriation pursuant to RSA 32:76 and will not lapse until the project is completed or December 31st, 2029, whichever is sooner. Both the Budget Committee and the Board of Selectmen are recommending this article. Do I hear a motion to approve Article 15 as read?
Make a motion to approve.
Do I hear a second? Comments or questions? Yes, Mr. Bailey.
Every year, simply we're voting on the same thing over and over and over. How much money is in it?
This was their new last year, this is only $50,000 in there.
How much?
It's only $50,000, sorry, for $50,000 last year, because prior it lapsed and the money went back, so.
So we're re-voting on this because the prior appropriation lapsed.
Correct.
Got it.
So now we started fresh last year with making it non-lapsing. The idea is that we have the money to pay it before the 250th.
Okay, Sean.
Got it.
You said that. I'm sorry.
Okay. You have a follow-up, Joe?
Please. Having said that, it's like 5-6 years ago, $50,000. I know the price of fuel going up, the price of asphalt going up, and everything else is going up. Is $50,000 going to do it?
No, it's to accumulate, that's why it's non-lapsing. So we can accumulate, and then in like the fourth year, we're going to pay, at that point in time, there should be roughly $200,000 in there. Because correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, there had been some preliminary work done on that in,
Yeah, the engineering part of it has been.
Right.
So they did just have to put it out to rebid it, and then, so the engineering part of it's all done. The set of plans for the drainage and all that is still current, just have to be rebid.
so the idea is to take the money from unassigned each year and build it up versus we could do, versus doing a one-time amount and just take it from unassigned so that there is no impact on taxation because it's a one-time, it'll be a one-time project.
All right, John, you had your hand up.
It was never done before because of drainage. It sounds like someone has addressed the problem of land sloping right towards the town hall.
Exactly, yes.
We continue to have issues with the basement of the old town hall flooding. Yeah.
How many sunbumps are there?
And the highway department does check the basement each week to make sure that the sump pumps are working properly. And given all the money that's been spent to restore that building, if we were just to put in a parking lot based off of the way it is, it defeats the purpose of putting the parking lot. It's gonna, yes, the ground would not do well, as well, the asphalt would settle well, and we really want to get the water away from that basement to keep that building as preserved as possible.
All right, John Quinn.
Before we move to the question, I hope we get the project done before the municipal building becomes a historic building.
I don't know, I might read this book, so who knows?
All right, Ken.
Good discussion about what the unassigned fund balance was. I guess my question is, why wouldn't we just fund the project now? The unassigned fund balance is just unassigned fund balance, which suggests we're accommodating for inflation from now until then. I guess I'm trying to understand, why wouldn't we just do it now?
And that's a good question. As far as the idea was coming in last year is we wanted to do it steady over a number of years. Because other things come up. Last year we funded like an air compressor, which was $8,000. So we try and, one-time hits, we try and tend to use the unassigned fund balance for. This year, we do have 2 additional articles that are coming up. One for $50,000 and the other one is for $7,500. Certainly, the people can reconsider and change that, but we're just, we can cover
the project?
Yeah, the project was bid on, and it came up to, in the neighborhoods of 256,000. That was one of last year's numbers, or even the previous year. So the project was put out for bid, and the lowest bid on that was 256,000. So, given the inflation on everything, that number is going to
Okay,
be.
so if we went to 275,000, we should probably be okay.
I think part of that, so correct me if I'm wrong here, is was part of that 250 or whatever you were saying, did that include the engineering part of it?
I would imagine it did.
So you can remove that, which that piece has been done. But again, you're gonna have the inflation piece of it. And we're just trying to make it so it's a steady process versus say, because I'm pretty sure if we as a select board come out and said, we want $250,000 to run a sign fund, you're all gonna look at us like we have three heads and say, where's that money coming from? You know, I've been down the road, Joe, and saying, so we're trying to make it, not that it's painless as far as because it's on the sign, but it's just to say, we're trying to make sure the money is there each year to pull it out, to put it towards the project.
Yeah, not 3 heads, 5 heads.
Oh, five.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, 5 heads.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
It seems that all we can talk about is kick the can down the road, okay? It's not getting cheaper by any means, okay? So by the time we have to do this, it's gonna probably be over $300,000 or more.
So do you want to make an amendment to change that number?
I would like to make a recommendation that we change the warrant article, pay for the damn thing, and be done with it.
So is that a motion for an amendment? Would you like to put an amount to that, Joe?
I would say yes, I would like to, motion to amend it to $300,000.
300,000. All right, is there a second to that amendment? Hang on. I got a motion on the floor, and I'm looking for a second for that amendment.
I second it.
Okay, so we now I want to have comment on the motion to amend Article 15. Go ahead.
Okay. Dan, how long do you think it would take to go through the bid process? Because I know that when we did it last time, there was only one bidder. These guys were also really, they weren't even interested. I think maybe, hopefully, the market's cooling off a little bit now, and maybe we could have a little more luck, because they weren't even trying to be competitive. So I'm just wondering if maybe you did like funding half of it this year, if it was going to take another year anyway for that, by the time you could get the bids in, get ready to do the work, I don't really know. What do you think? How long?
Well, you can put a job out to bid and put a time limit on it. And Randy Talon can probably help you out on this one as well, because he's dealt with situations like that. Randy, I'm just throwing your name around here, so I just figured I'd let you know. Yeah, I mean, you could put a time frame on the bidding, right? You could put the job out to bid, and you could have the bids in a month. And then you could put stipulations on when you want to have the job done, start and completion date. And then see where.
I'm not opposed to doing it if we can do it. I'd like to get it done.
It's just like anything else. I mean, if you're gonna build a house, you're gonna get the information and you're gonna get a few prices or whatever, and it's the same thing.
Okay, Kathleen.
Well, quick question. You are at $75,000, you said, in 2022, it's how much? It's 1.3 million. What did we take out of that, 2023 for? How many? 150,000. Okay. So you take that out, you have 1.2 million. And how much, real quick, I'm sorry, you're saying we have 75,000, 50. No, we have a 50, 7,500, and then 50,000. So we're talking right now $107,500.
All right.
Since we've had the old town hall renovated, it's been used a lot more for meetings, gatherings. That parking lot is a disaster. We are one lawsuit away from somebody slipping, falling, having a major injury. And then you're going to see a lot more money than what it's going to cost to pay to leave this town in a personal injury suit. Let's get it done and get it done now.
Can I just ask a procedural question? What can the fund balance go down to? What do you have? What's the DRA going to require you to keep it at?
They have a recommendation, 8% usually, they don't like it going down below it.
So based on that, do you think there will be a problem? Do you think a DRA will disallow taking up to 300,000?
Well, so what I don't know. I guess my thought is if we have 50,000 in there, if we maybe did 250 instead of 300, that may be better. That gives us a total of 300,000 for that project.
All right, would that be a friendly amendment that you would agree to, Joe?
250?
Yes.
Yes? Second, you were okay with that? So we're going to change the amendment of Article 15 to make it $250,000 total instead of $50,000. That's the amendment on the floor. So comments and questions on that amendment? Yes, John?
Does this affect the 10% rule or no, because it's not raised through taxation?
Correct.
Okay. Other questions or comments? Ken?
So, is there, you got done with the renovation, is there water coming from the parking lot going under the building right now?
Yes.
Okay.
2 feet of water.
So, potentially causing harm, depending as long as the highway department over there check something.
Right.
As far as competitive bidding, I agree with Jim. You need competitive bidding. Absolutely. And the timing of it at that point in time, COVID, people probably busy. Was it pre-COVID or COVID when the bids came in?
It was COVID. It was COVID. It was at the end of it was in like November.
Okay, so
October, November.
I know my construction industry, we've seen inflation of 20% at least since then, at least. $300 million bills have turned into $450 million bills. That's 50%, but that's in Boston. So you get those dynamics right here. I feel like if you go the route that's as proposed in the warrant, the project's not going to happen. It's not going to happen in 4 years because we have a 2% tax cap. And Roxanne alluded to that earlier. As long as you have a 2% tax cap, which we have right now, I'm anticipating our unassigned fund balance getting chiseled away. So I would recommend 250,000.
All right, Randy, you had your hand up, and I'm going to give you
when this went out last time, we have quantities of everything, right, for items.
Yes.
So we can come up with a rough idea of what we should be allowing for a bid total, right? Can we put that down, what we're accepting for a bid, like for a state bid, they'll come out at $60 million, and the bidders look at everything and they put their bid in.
Right, yeah, I mean, this wasn't handled by me, it was handled by an engineering company, so they're the ones who had to engineer the job and then put the job out to bid, which is probably, is the route you should take. So all the quantities and all the, everything will not change.
Footage and all that, so we can figure out.
Exactly, right, yeah.
All right, Kate.
Yeah, sorry, I just have a point. I think you answered this, but it's not going to change the no amount to be raised from taxation debt for us.
No, it will not change. It would all come from unassigned fund.
Thank you.
All right, Ann, go ahead.
I argued in favor of getting this done now. For the events at the town hall, you see the sand and the gravel and the things that have been tracked inside. We're not doing the interior of the building any good by not getting this done.
All right, are you ready to vote on the amendment? All right. All those in favor of amending Article 15 to read the sum of $250,000 rather than just $50,000, signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Nay. The ayes have it. So are you ready to vote on Article 15 as amended, or are there more comments or questions? Ready to vote? All right. All those in favor of Article 15 as amended, to see if the town will vote to appropriate the sum of $250,000 for the purpose of construction, drainage, or paving in the Old Town Hall parking lot, with said funds to come from the unassigned fund balance, no amount to be raised from taxation. This is a non-lapsing appropriation, according to RSA 32:76, and will not lapse until the project completed December 31st, 2029, which is ever sooner. Signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Nay. The ayes have it. Article 15 carries as amended. Article 16, see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $7,500 for the purpose of purchasing a new electronic voting machine, with said funds to come from the unassigned fund balance. No amount to be raised from taxation. Budget Committee recommends and Board of Selectmen recommends. Do I hear a motion to approve Article 16 as read? A second? See Sarah back there. All right, comments or questions? Article 16.
So I'll just speak to that quickly. The state is mandating that we go to a new electronic voting machine, so we have to buy it. And this is the amount that it's going to cost. So we are choosing to take it from unassigned to one-time purchase.
Yes?
Can I be the one that set it up?
Yes, in the back.
John Fox, is this going to be on the interweb?
Is this meeting? Oh, this machine. No, these machines are not connected.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. No, we get training on these things as moderators. So the machine is self-contained. It counts the votes. We keep the ballots, the paper ballots, so there can always be a recount of actual ballots. I will say, in my experience, counting the machine balloting, we make more mistakes as humans than the machine makes in terms of the ballots. And we count the ballots that we hand out to voters. We count the total number of ballots that we receive from the state. We count the ballots that go into the machine. We count the voters who came in and compared to the number of ballots that were handed out. And we make sure that it all lines up. So I'm pretty confident.
All joking aside, I remember the first year that we did it, I was actually here to witness it yourself. I think the supervisor checklist, you fill out a ballot as a test, and you run it through the machine, and you see how, or
we are required, and it's a public session, I would encourage you all to come and watch if you want, before every election, and we post it. We go in and we fill out ballots, test ballots, every which way you can, blank, overvotes, undervotes. Every candidate on the ballot gets at least one or more check marks. A check mark, an X, a circle, every different kind of way you can mark a ballot. We run it through the machine, we compare it to the tape, we hand count what we've marked, and we compare the two to verify the machine. Yes, Joe?
Correct me if I'm wrong, I think the ballot that we have, we purchased some of them as used ones, I think, at one point.
We bought that one used, I want to say, in 2000, maybe for the 2008 presidential election.
Quite a long time ago.
Yeah, we bought it used from Bedford. Yeah.
So,
Were you there, John? You remember that? Yeah. Yes, John?
is the state requiring us to use this mandate? I mean, are we required to use the ballot or pay for it?
I would, this is an opinion, but I would say it is required, and to the extent, that extent is probably, it probably is an unfunded mandate. I would take it up with your local state rep. Yeah.
If the new ones last as long as these other ones have, you know, and it's updated, current stuff like that, and the state has to come in and help social services and look at it, do not?
Yeah, the company comes in and you know, and I can call the company. One year I had to do that. It wasn't functioning. I called the maintenance guy, it was there right away. It was a power surge problem when we were voting over at the highway department. Ready to vote? I can talk ballot machines all day long. All those in favor of Article 16 to see if the town will vote and raise and appropriate the sum of $7,500 for the purpose of purchasing a new electronic voting machine with said funds to come from an unassigned fund balance, no amount to be raised from taxation, signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Article 17, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $50,000 for the purpose of preparing crushed stone, sand, and gravel in the town pit with such materials to be used by the town for town highway projects and maintenance. Said funds to come from the unassigned fund balance with no amount to be raised from taxation. This is recommended by the Budget Committee and the Board of Selectmen. Do I hear a motion to approve Article 17 as read? Do I hear a second? Joe Bailey. Comments?
Yep. So the last time the town crushed, or actually the town didn't crush, we hired a company to come in and crush, was 2019. And they crushed gravel, which we put on the dirt roads, crushed stone, which we use for underneath culvert pipes, and muddy areas in the spring, and riprap, which is the type of stone that you have for erosion stone. When you put in culverts, you usually typically put them at the end. We are just about out of material. I don't expect to come to you next year because the last crushing lasted us since 2019-20, so that's what that material is for.
Questions or comments on Article 17? Yes, sir.
You're looking for stones to be crushed, I could probably get some. I'm talking to you.
Other questions or comments? Ready to vote on Article 17? All those in favor of Article 17 to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $50,000 for the purpose of having prepared crushed stone, sand, and gravel in the town pit with such materials to be used by the town and for town highway projects and maintenance, and said funds to come from the unassigned fund balance with no amount to be raised for taxation, signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Article 17 carries. Article 18, see if the town will vote to add and merge the following town property to the existing town forest under RSA 31:110 to be managed by the Town Conservation Commission under the provisions of RSA 31:112(2), and to authorize the placement of any proceeds which may accrue from said forest management into the Conservation Fund, which shall be allowed to accumulate from year to year as provided by RSA 31:113. This is map 26, lot 13, sublot 2, approximately 7 acres on Moose Mountain Road. I know there's a map indicating where this property is located over there. The Board of Selectmen recommends it, and no Budget Committee recommendations to it being a non-fiscal article. Do I hear a motion to approve Article 18 as read? See Joe Bailey. A second?
Second.
All right. Kate, did you want to speak to this?
Jim's going to speak.
Jim's going to speak? Okay, I'm sorry.
So, as you can see, this is the parcel right here. These shaded in green are parcels that are already under the control of the Conservation Commission. You can see Piper Mountain Road comes up around like this, Moose Mountain Road, and access is coming in right here. So I don't know how many of you guys have had the opportunity to go down there and walk around, but the town owns quite a bit of land, as well as Jack's guys own a bunch out there as well. It's beautiful. I love it down there. And I think everyone knows that nowadays people are buying land and doing stuff with it. I certainly don't like. I think the more that we can have by giving us the control over the Conservation Commission, it kind of makes it difficult to do anything with it. We did years ago, the school wanted some land that they thought they could get some gravel. We voted, we gave it back, control over it to the town. It didn't get used, it came back to us, but I believe we're very blessed to have a lot of land in Middleton open to recreational use. I'm hoping everybody will vote in favor of this, and we can just go forward. Thank you.
Other comments or questions on Article 18? Yes, Joanne.
Speak for you to address, what exactly do you have in terms of forest management plans?
So we're currently working with the county forester to create that plan. We have 107 acres in that particular area of town, and it's designated county forest. And we have another lot over on Silver Street that is 14 acres.
Is there marketable lumber on that property?
You know, that's what we need to assess. All that needs to be assessed, trails, and as you can see from the map on the left, there's a bright red area, and that covers most of the Moose Mountain Reserve, and that is considered to be highly valuable wildlife area. And that's that and that area being watershed area is what gives us great concern. Keep those lands open and available for public use.
Who is the forester?
God, she had to ask. I'm sorry, Joanne, I don't have her name. I don't have my name card.
Yes, Jim.
Good question, Joanne. I want to take this opportunity to say we'd love to have some help with the planning and moving forward. As I said, we have a vast amount of land, and it would be great to do something. We are 100% multi-use attitude, so I would encourage anybody sitting here that has interest in being involved in the conservation of Middleton to come down meeting. We usually meet the second Tuesday of the month, and we could use some help.
All right, other questions or comments on Article 18? You ready to vote?
Yes.
All those in favor of Articles 18 to see if the town will vote to add and merge the following town property to the existing town forest under RSA 31:110 to be managed by the Town Conservation Commission under the provisions of RSA 31:112(2) and to authorize the placement of any proceeds which may accrue from said forest management into the conservation fund, which shall be allowed to accumulate from year to year. Map 26, Lot 13, Sublot 2, approximately 7 acres on Moose Mountain Road. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Article 18 carries. And if I could take a moment, if you'll permit me, I just want to publicly acknowledge Joanne and Tony Koski for the extraordinary thing they did by placing a permanent conservation easement on the bulk of their land just below Phoebe's Navel down New Portsmouth Road. They made a commitment to do that. It was a non-binding commitment when they appeared before the planning board. I remember that. I was on the planning board at the time. And years later, they followed through on that commitment, and that's made the bulk of their land conserved along with the rest of the Moose Mountains conservation. Joanne?
This is an interesting point. If you go to the website of mmrtnh.org, put in something about that, it'll probably send you right down our driveway, which used to be the Class 6 road. We're quite amenable to having visitors come down. Anybody who's interested in very interesting property and hiking trails.
So they still own it, but it's permanently protected. They should be congratulated for that. Thank you. All right. Article 19, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $13,833.52 to be added to the Highway Department Capital Reserve Fund previously established. Such sum representing the amount of income received in 2023 from the cell phone tower and said funds to come from the unassigned fund balance. No amount to be raised from taxation. Budget Committee and Board of Selectmen both recommend this. Do I hear a motion to approve Article 19 as read?
I so move.
Do I hear a second? Question, comments?
Yeah, I'll comment quickly on this, Dan. So what this is the money that they receive from a cell phone tower,
income, it was allocated to go into the highway department capital reserve fund, that's the way it was set up when they established it. However, we can't just take the checks that come in from the cell phone tower and directly deposit them into the highway because there is a percentage increase each year. So what it has to do is the money has to flow into the unassigned fund balance, and then we have to move it back out from the unassigned fund balance, and this is the process to do it, is through a warrant article.
Other questions or comments? Yes.
So we talked about this some time ago, has this been happening? Is this an accumulation of the years past?
No, so what was happening prior is the money was directly going into the account. Then DRA came back and as well as the auditors came back and said that that's not the process that in which you're supposed to be doing it. You need to set up a warrant article. So now this way this year going forward, we're doing it based off of the way the DRA and the auditors told us.
So the prior year's cell phone
Yeah, so money has been
revenues were going into the.
Yes, yeah, it's in it, yep.
Other questions or comments on Article 19? Ready to vote? All right. All those in favor of Article 19 to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $13,833.52 to be added to the Highway Department Capital Reserve Fund previously established, such sum representing the amount of income received in 2023 from cell phone tower and said funds to come from the unassigned fund balance, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
I'm not opposed, I just found something.
We've already covered Article 20 previously. Article 21, to see if the town will vote to cap the employee contribution to health care costs at 13% effective April 1st, 2024. The Budget Committee recommends 4 to 2 to 1. The Board of Selectmen recommends 4 to 1. Do I hear a motion to approve Article 21 as read? John Quinn. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Steve. Where do we want to start with this?
So several years ago, the warrant article was up to have the employee contribution of health care capped at, I think it started at 30 and it was amended to 25%. So this board has made, putting forward the warrant article to cap it at 13%, which is what the town employees are paying who purchase health insurance. The town employees, not school, is capped. We're proposing for 13% in order to try and retain, our employees. We've looked around at other area towns and a lot of it pay anywhere. I think most of it's 10%. Tracy, maybe you might know a little bit more of the numbers. 10% or lower. Yeah. So in our school teachers only pay 10%.
You can't. I got a hand up over here.
Did you just say that they're currently paying 13%?
Yes.
I thought they were paying 16% now.
No, it's 13. So it went up to 16.
It went up to 16.
That's why you have to be effective. Oh, sorry. My mistake. My bad.
So just clarify that. Can you restate what the current rate?
Current is 16%.
So we'll be going
It would
backwards.
be effective to go to 13% April 1st. My mistake.
All right. And I heard
I would like to amend it to 10%. Our current employees, as you well know, we have a revolving door in Middleton. They got a 2% raise this year. 3%. I apologize. I should know this. And to retain our employees, I think you should be paid, I know New Durham's 10%. Most municipalities are 10%. That's where
So you're making a motion to amend Article 21 to have it read to cap the contribution to 10%?
Yep.
Do I have that correct? Okay, is there a second to that motion?
I will.
I have one there and a here in the back. All right, so comments or questions on the proposed amendment? Yes, Christine.
I looked into this about a year or so, about a year and a half. And what I found was that on average, most town employees were paying about 20% to to 30%, depending on what the plan was. Some towns had two insurance options, and there was an option to do 20%. Different plan, it was a 30% contribution. On average, employees do pay about 20%. I mean, that's a lot to put back on the tax. I personally feel. I think if you want to compensate your employees, then you compensate in other ways. But with the way insurance is, I feel like the 20% should stand.
Okay.
So, Kate Lazar, so Christine, when you were looking and surveying these different towns, what were you looking at, like the net valuation of each town comparable to ours, or, or weight, or population size? I mean, or were you just looking at?
I just looked through I went through any town that I could find with their contracts, and I looked at what they were paying.
You know, like an apples to apples, that's all.
Yes.
How much is the cost of insurance increasing this year? I know every place health insurance is increasing, just the cost to have it.
The question is, how much is the cost of health insurance increasing in general this year on a percentage basis?
Well, the cost is, we changed, as part of looking at everything, we went back to, we use Health Source, which handles most municipalities and in New Hampshire. And we went back and said, we know that healthcare cost is rising. Can you offer us another plan, or can you potentially give us other options? And they did. They came back. So we're not offering a higher plan. We're actually offering a slightly lower. Like the co-payment is going up from, I don't know what it was, $15, say $20. So there are some differences. So it's going to cost approximately the same because we're changing a health plan. The cost is basically the same between the employer and the employee, based off of because we're changing health plans. And that was one of the ways we tried to, make it so that there wasn't a cost going to the employee. So, let me see. So last year's health insurance was $100,000, and this year we're budgeting $95,000.
All right. Yes, Lanny.
So the 10% will be fine, so we can move on?
Well, we have to vote on it, whatever.
No, but one's talking 20, one's talking 13.
Right. So right now, there's a motion on the floor to amend Article 21 to cap it at 10% versus 13%. Yes, Jim.
Well, I just wanted to note that we're also talking about right now currently 2 police officers, 3 highway guys, and I think there's only 1 lady in the office. Only that, but I'm not sure how many teachers there are over at school. I would also note that I think the police has retirement, but we don't really have any retirement. So the fact that the town's portion of the insurance went down, ours went up. What our contribution to the cost, our co-payments and everything, I just think it would be going to big hit to pay.
All right, Ken?
So Christine mentioned about other means of compensation. Well, the reality is that hasn't happened. And I don't think it, frankly, will happen, because typically everybody looks at what the rate of inflation is, and that tends to be with the salary increases, and that's never kept up with the town employees. And I guess probably my thought, I don't know for sure, but I believe there's only one highway department employee that has some longevity, that's Rob. Other than that, I think everybody else has been new coming in. Roxanne even made Jim take a job there. Just to keep the highway department going. But, so I don't see it happening. Typically, public employees don't seek huge salary increases. Unlike the that's just the reality. And they get hurt, they get disenfranchised. I think that's why we want to believe that there's talk about 25%, 30% premiums being levied on, which is going to ultimately, I think it did in reality occur, that they had a loss of income for those of them.
Other questions or comments? Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, one of the things that we've talked about is the fact that, as most of you have mentioned, we get a deal on our employees. And they don't have salaries that they can go elsewhere. And one way of trying to retain them and keep it from being able to have a revolving door, from having them here for a year or two until they can find something better. And this shows them that, so we are invested in them as much as they have invested in us as well.
All right. Other questions or comments?
Yeah, Jen, I just want to go on record, that a public employee, that, as a teacher, in one way to recognize teachers who are not competitive as they are in the private sector, okay, is to recognize not only the salary, but also the benefits. I think 10% is fair. They're not making a tremendous amount of money. They're not getting rich off, at least on high, with what they're making. All they have to do is look at the salaries that are in here. They still have families and support. They have to put a roof over their head and food on the table. And I think the difference between 13% and 10%, while it's not a lot for anyone, it is a lot for them and what they're making. And I think the town people do well by their employees to do 10%.
All right. So we have an amendment on the floor that would amend Article 21 to cap it at 10% as opposed to 13%. Are you ready to vote on the amendment?
Yes. Jack, I have a question real quick.
Sure.
They have it budgeted for 13%, correct? Do you have it budgeted for 13 or 16% right now? So if we go to 10%.
We did it with 13 without, on the understanding of the 16. Yes, so what's your question?
So what does that do to our budget that changes to 10% today?
So it'll be budgeted for 16. But in the end, it's the bottom line budget. And we will pull the money if we need that, from some other line if we have to. But in the end, the insurance is going to cost us right now $95,000.
Pulling from the bottom line, eventually the bottom line is no more.
I think I said the question, 95,000. 13% of 95,000 versus 10%. I already know 10%.
Right. So if I'm hearing this right, to clarify, given the relatively low number of employees, and we're talking a percentage of around 100,000, this isn't a, you can probably find the money in the existing budget, correct?
It's $12,350 versus $9,500.
Okay, so $4,000 difference. All right, you ready to vote on the amendment? All right, all those in favor of amending Article 21 to read to see if the town will vote to cap the employee contribution health care cost at 10% effective April 1, 24, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay. Nay.
I would say the ayes have it on the amendment. Are you ready to vote on Article 21? Yes. All right. All those in favor of Article 21 as amended to see if the town will vote to cap the employee contribution to health care cost at 10% effective April 1, 2024, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
The ayes have it. Article 21 carries. And here we are at Article 23, transact any other business that may legally come before this meeting. Yes, sir, Mr. Gary.
You opened the meeting up thanking myself and two others, the local moderators, I'd love to say I think a greater thanks goes to those who count the ballots, who supervise the checklist. They're there all day. I got there. They were like counting ceiling tiles, waiting to count the ballots. And by the way, it wasn't an hour to count, it was an hour and a half, so I'm going to talk to you afterwards. But anyway, great thank you to all those who counted. I actually saw it firsthand. You see it every year, Jack. It's a tremendous effort on their part. So,
you guys did really well to do only an hour and a half. And others have come to participate in that counting. We welcome all volunteers, don't we? Right, lots and lots. And it's helpful to have fresh eyes, not those of us who've been sitting there since 6 o'clock in the morning. Yes, Kate?
Yes, what I found was the county forester's name is Lizzie Watt. As in my conservation commission report, which I'm sure you've all read. Thank you.
All right, Joanne?
I would like to thank everybody who showed up here today, and especially the moderator and Al and such. I'm really proud and happy to be a part of Middleton, a town where people count. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you everybody for all the job you've done. And the town of Middleton, every board member that served, you know, it would be possible with all the hard work you've done behind the scenes. Thank you.
Randy, are you moving the question?
I don't have a question.
He just wants it over.
I just say thank you all very much. I love what I noticed you can do by the time in the department. Jack, I always got you in something. The recreation department, thank you. I'm involved with volunteers for children and it's well worth it. So you all are. Thank you.
Yeah. Lanny, did you have something?
I just been looking and we're on Article 23, what, 22.
That's a good question. I don't know what happened to Article 22. Yeah, good point. Linda?
The supervisors of the checklist are very sentimental about our writing implements, so if you took one of our pens to vote, could you please return it? Otherwise, we'll be traumatized all day. Thank you.
All right. Any other business to come for this meeting? Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Do I hear a second? All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye. Thank you.